First, I want to give a shout out to my top supporters over at Patreon and Subscribestar, whose support is deeply appreciated. Ahmad Rashid, Andrew Baukamp, Bardan, Deanie, Exponential Worth, Flutterlust9, John Sheffield, Matthew Della Garza, Nicholas Griggs, Nick Giacara, The Musician, Frater Omar, Dextroid DLR, Justin Mai, Kevin Johnson, and a few others who don't wish to be named. They know who they are. Thank you so much for your generous and continuing support. It really does make all the difference. So, thank you. I was recently sent this message informing me of something that had just happened. Hello, Frater. I know you've got a lot on your plate, but you have got to make a video on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, all banning EA Koetting all at once. I'd love to hear your take on it, as it's right up your alley in two different ways. Alright, well, I didn't even know about it until I received this and other messages. Because you're right, I am busy and I don't really have time to know what's going on with everybody else. It's not like I follow EA Koetting or anything. We are worlds apart in our philosophy and in our practice. He is left-hand path. I am not. I don't know him personally. I've never met him, nor have I ever spoken with him. So I am not in the know of what's going on. All the information that I have gotten are from other sources, which makes it hearsay. And hearsay is not credible in any court of law. So understand that my thoughts and opinions on the matter are going to greatly depend on what really happened. Because there's what people say happened, and then there's what actually happened. From the limited information that I've been able to look up, apparently there was a BBC article on a double murder that happened about a year ago of two sisters in a park in the United Kingdom. And the killer was a Satanist who had done what he did because of a demonic pact that he was trying to make. And the BBC linked what he had done to some of the material and content that EA Koetting puts out, both on YouTube and in his writings. And from what I've been able to tell, the BBC had been gunning for Koetting for some time, until finally YouTube and Facebook had banned him, both at the same time, because they work in tandem. Big tech works together. Now, we've already gone over YouTube and Facebook and their censorship and what I think of that. There's no need to reiterate that here. And I'm not really so convinced that it's really even on them. It seems to me that they were being pressured by the BBC. Not to say that YouTube and Facebook doesn't ban creators of their own accord. They certainly do. But there are times when it's not always on them. They just give in to the pressure of someone else calling for someone to be banned. This is how cancel culture works. I know many are eager to blame big tech, and they make it easy to do so, given a lot of their past actions. You know, the one thing that a lot of creators just still want from them are clearly defined rules, guidelines, and terms of service. But they purposefully keep them unclear and undefined, and throwing in such terms as just borderline, so that they can ban whoever they want, which makes it very difficult to trust them. So when they ban a channel like Koetting's, with apparently no strikes or any warnings of any kind, just outright, and remove the channel and all of its content without any prior offenses, then that's pretty concerning. That you can have your entire livelihood wiped out just by the mere accusation from a third party such as the BBC. I mean, everybody can get behind a 3-strike system. What people really don't care for is getting deleted without any prior offenses or reason to, right? When there's no history of violations. So apparently YouTube had put out a statement, and I'm paraphrasing here, that they don't allow content that promotes or incites violence upon their platform. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. But is that what he really did? That's the question. So what I think about the matter is really dependent on just that. And since I have no real first-hand knowledge of what really happened, then all I can say is that if that's what he really did, telling people that they should go sacrifice other people, then yes, YouTube probably should ban him. But I'm somewhat doubtful as to the validity of that. I've seen some of EA's videos, and he does talk about making pacts with spirits, demons even, but at no time did I ever hear him say that you need to go get a knife and sacrifice someone. I've never heard him say anything like that. I wouldn't think EA to be that stupid. I don't know, maybe he is. I've never met him. I've never spoken with him. I know that Asbjorn Torval has. He was part of BOG for a while, and he had nothing but good things to say about EA. So, from what I understand, the 19-year-old kid who committed this heinous crime had been an active poster on the Become a Living God forum, which would be EA's website's forum, and was found with a number of E.A. Koetting's books. And so the BBC conflated and equated the material from Koetting with the crime, which he made it easy to do, talking about dark pacts all the time. But if this is just another case of needing a scapegoat or someone to blame, and he didn't instruct people to go out and do this, then no, I don't think he should have been banned. Not for something that some lone nut did in another country across the ocean. It reminds me of when they blamed AC/DC for the song Shoot the Thrill for someone who had shot themselves whose favorite band happened to be AC/DC. When they do that, they're saying that people are too stupid to think for themselves. And maybe some people are, but I like to give everyone the benefit of the doubt that everyone is responsible for their own actions. In any case, I hope the BBC ain't going on a literal witch hunt and trying to persecute magical practitioners. Of course, that wouldn't be good at all. I don't think that that's the case because they had to rely upon the crime for the justification to go after Koetting, even though he himself had nothing to do with the case at all, other than what he may have said on his YouTube or in his publications. And that's the part I don't know and is all hearsay. It's not like I can go back and watch his channel now that it's gone. As for what's next, I imagine he would be working towards overturning this decision, both magically and diplomatically, perhaps even legally, by claiming a religious discrimination or something. The BBC and other publications are claiming him to be a Satanist. I don't know if that's what he would self-describe himself as, but Satanism is an official religion, so he may have that angle. And you may say, well, Frater, a private company could do whatever it wants. They could just boot you for any reason. Well, just because someone's a company doesn't give them license to discriminate or violate your constitutional rights. I know a lot of corporations like to pretend that the Constitution has nothing to do with it. But let me ask you this. Can that corporation buy and own slaves? Why not? They're a private company. They can do what they want. Can they break into your house, search it, and seize your property? Why not? They're a private company. They could do what they want. No, they're still beholden to the Constitution. They just make everybody think that they're not, which I've shot down easily with those two examples. So he may have grounds to do something about it. It really depends on what was actually said, meaning what they're actually blaming it on. I really don't think this is some sort of satanic panic, but it could be. Don't underestimate the ignorance of those who know nothing about the occult. They always try to conflate magic and the occult with evil, and EA just made it real easy for him because of his left-hand material and talking about demonic kings all the time. It makes it easy for them to say, look, this guy even says he's evil. He must be stopped. I watched the BBC video. They took as many similarities as possible that they can find to try to connect the two. Oh, look, the killer signed his name in blood on the pact, just as EA's book said to do. And they just pieced together things like that.
Subcultures dedicated to a violent form of Satanism spread their hateful material online, but their influence is now being felt in the real world. But very little has been publicly revealed about how he came to hold his belief in demonic pacts. Concerned by what might still be out there, we've kept investigating. Hussein was active on a forum devoted to certain forms of Satanism and the occult. He joined in March 2018 while he was being assessed by Prevent, telling others he was a psychic vampire. He sought advice on demonic pacts. The forum is run by an American self-styled black magician called E.A. Koetting. Hussein introduced himself by saying, "I absolutely love E.A. and his work," and had learned his first spell from him. Koetting sells expensive books and courses and uses social media to promote himself. Hussein remained on the forum for 2 years. After the murders, it took a month to identify him using DNA. He last logged into the forum only hours before his arrest. Daniel Hussein's beliefs mirror ideas promoted by Koetting. The so-called pact written by the murderer, in which he committed to killing women, was addressed to the mighty king Lucifuge Rofakale, believed by Hussein to be a powerful demon. Koetting promotes the idea that people can enter into pacts with Lucifuge, but says that real-world action will be required if their requests are to succeed.
And if you want to make a pact with the powers of darkness as a whole, Lucifuge is the guy you need to talk to.
There are parallels between Koetting's public instructions about such pacts and what Hussein did. He instructs people to sign the pact in blood, something done by Hussein, but that Lucifuge's signature will be visible only to you. A blank space was on the killer's document. Koetting says the final pact should be brought before the demon, lit only by candlelight. Hussein bought candles at the same time he purchased the knife used to murder Bieber and Nicole. Koetting says, include in your pact the attainment of wealth. Hussein asked for wealth and a lottery win.
I think it's important to say certainly not all forms, even most forms of Satanism, are not violent. But this very specific form of what's called left-hand path Satanism is a sort of social Darwinistic idea of the strong dominating the weak. A lot of language about what they call culling or murder, different types of sacrifice, different types of self-harm. These ideas can directly lead to violence. And I think that we recognize with other forms of extremism that ideas can lead to terrorism and to violence. And I think it's no different in this case.
We wrote to Koetting setting out our findings. We didn't receive a response. We asked Facebook and YouTube whether they consider him to be suitable for their platforms. They didn't provide an answer.
See, the biggest problem with media these days is that they're less than truthful. They engage in what is called spin, which is an innocent-sounding way of twisting the truth to fit a particular narrative. And I could see signs of that happening in this article. And I'll give you an example. They said Koetting had written instructions on how to sacrifice, but they didn't say what type of sacrifice. I want to make it clear, I don't condone any type. I don't really see a need for it. But there's a pretty big difference between a human and a chicken. I think I recall many years ago him talking about using a rooster or something up by his cave. And if I had to guess, that's probably what they're referring to. But this is just one of the many examples of how the media lie by omission, leaving important details out to purposefully paint the picture that they want you to see. And unfortunately, it's done so often that it's very difficult for me to take anything that they say at face value. And it's quite clear that the narrative and picture that they're trying to paint in this case is that Koetting is to blame for all of it. And I hate to say it, but Koetting made it real easy for them to do. This is just another reason I'm glad I'm not left-hand path, because I don't have any content that can be conflated with such nonsense. There's really no need for it. They said that the kid who committed this crime, he did it for wealth. He wanted to win the lottery, which tells you right there he has a poverty mindset. That's the poor person's idea on how to get rich. What he should have done was put in a clause into his pact of not getting caught. But you didn't think of that, did you, genius? And, of course, I'm kidding. It's obvious that the kid wasn't that bright to begin with, so of course he was going to get caught. But the whole thing is you don't need to make dark demonic pacts, sell your soul, sign contracts in blood, and a whole host of other nonsense to get what you want. Because most magic operates in the subconscious mind. And once you know how the subconscious mind works, you then have the ability to manifest practically anything that you would want, including wealth and riches. But even then, If you just do as rich people do, then you yourself can become rich. Because there are things that poor people do that keep them poor, and there are things that rich people do that keep them rich. So just choose to do things as rich people do. And they're not out buying lottery tickets and making dark pacts. No, they're striking it rich because they follow the laws of riches. The Laws of Riches is the series that's going to take you from being broke to not having to worry about money. It's called The Laws of Riches because becoming rich is an exact science. There's a formula to it. Simply put, rich people think and do things differently than poor people.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste.
And so it stands to reason that if you start thinking and doing as they do, then you'll also start getting similar results. We're going to be going over investing, having multiple sources of income instead of just having a job, assets and liabilities, leveraging debt, avoiding inflation, the law of compensation, how much you earn is going to be determined by this formula, passive income, how to earn money while you sleep, and much, much more. You'll be getting a lesson per week for an entire year when you sign up. You can get the Laws of Riches and other Mind and Magic programs over at mindandmagic.com today.
Pleased to meet you, and I hope you guess my name.
So one other thing, I got a message from somebody else, and he wrote, basically E.A. Koetting is in jail now because one of his YouTube followers decided to murder women to get special benefits from some demon. Now, I'm not sure that this is real because there's nothing that I've come across that says EA was arrested for this. I know he's had his run-ins with the law in the past, but I don't think he's been arrested for this. If I'm wrong about that, let me know. Because if so, then something like that would mirror the Sharon Tate murder. Those of you who are younger may not realize that the infamous Charles Manson didn't spend his life in prison because he killed somebody. Charles Manson never killed anybody. No, he instructed and incited his followers to do it. He was the so-called mastermind behind it, and that's why he spent life in prison. I don't think that's what's going on here, but if they are coming after him legally for that, then I haven't heard about it. I would assume that there would be something that I could find on that, but I haven't been able to. So that's what I think on it. I'm just kind of really neutral. It's really not that much of a surprise. YouTube, Facebook, all of big tech censors people. They ban people. That's what they do these days. That's why it's important to follow your favorites on alternative media, such as BitChute and Rumble. I have a channel on both at bitchute.com/mindandmagic and rumble.com/mindandmagic. I'm still uploading older material, but if things ever go bad here, you'll know where to find me. But I'm hoping that I'll be here for some time to come, as my content is pretty tame compared to some of the left-hand past stuff, but arguably just as, if not more, effective. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like and share it if you did, and let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. Follow me on social and alternative media, URLs to follow, and I will see you next time. Take care.